First, you must realize that you have no idea before you can know the idea. We scan across all the frequencies if we want to learn anything new. Let us begin.
What has physics done for me lately?
Furthermore, the equation E is equal mc squared.
We have now acquired a fateful power to alter and to destroy nature.
That's like when you're in physics and you go to Dreamworld saying, oh, this is a physics excursion.
Science. What is it all about?
The whole of human history all falls in the dust of one stroke of the nail file. You can't really get to grips with evolution unless you realise what an enormous amount of time.
Our own planet is only a tiny part of the vast cosmic tapestry, a starry fabric of worlds yet untold.
You're tuned in to what can only be described as the best radio station on this blue dot we call Earth. It is, of course, for Triple Z, your community broadcaster, be it on your conventional wireless radio by tuning into the classic frequency of 102.1 FM, digital devices such as DAB or smart speaker, listening via the Community Radio Plus app, or streaming us live from our sensational website, which can be found at 4zzz.org.au. And of course, you can always listen back to our show or any 4ZZZ show using the ingenious on-demand feature also found at that URL. We also now have a weekly podcast of the show for your listening pleasure, curated by Toby, a condensed version of the show without the music, which Mum prefers. Just search for our show name, which is, of course, No Idea, spelt with a K, your weekly dose of science. And joining me for this episode to speak about all things science, may I please welcome into the virtual studio two of my favourite science influences. Hello, Peter. Nothing. And Gabe. Why am I got nothing? Oh,
I don't know.
Oh, fuck. Oh, Jesus. Okay. Jesus. Oh, yeah. I don't know what I'm doing.
Hello, Max.
I thought I'd be really smooth today. Anyway, didn't happen.
No?
Cool. No. Tell us what's happening today, Gabe, please.
Gabe, what is happening?
Are we?
We're live.
Max, I kid you not. This morning I ended up with oyster sauce and coffee all over my kitchen floor in two separate incidents, and I went, the show's going to fall apart at some point today.
Yeah.
And
What were you doing with oyster sauce?
15 seconds in, the milk took out the oyster sauce. It was a whole domino effect. It was a bad time, Max.
Yeah.
I thought we'd get more than a few seconds in before everything started falling apart. So I think it's going to be an interesting 2 hours.
It will be an interesting
Max,
2 hours.
I want you to hold your hand up for me,
Yeah,
your left one,
Yep.
and I want you to just lightly pinch it with your other hand. Just a little pinch, and then let go.
Done.
What happens with the skin?
You still feel a sensation on your skin.
Yeah, but what happens? Your skin bounces back.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
When we pinch our skin. It's weird. It's weird little stuff. And it's a pretty amazing structure that goes into making our skin. The reason you have such an elastic property in there is because of microfibril structures and a protein called elastin. And the reason we have a protein called elastin is because of another protein called tropoelastin, which is what leads to its creation. Now, obviously, there's a lot of experimentation on this stuff because, a lack of elasticity leads to wrinkling and all sorts of other stuff. So a lot of interest in how tropoelastin works. We know it can be stretched to 8 times its length and always returns back to its original size. But what some 2018 research found is that it is very complex, this tropoelastin. It has disordered regions throughout it where there isn't a fixed 3-dimensional structure, but it also has a whole bunch of amino acids that would make it very hard to understand. I'm forgetting what the exact number of amino acids in tropoelastin is, though, Max. Do you have any rough idea?
600 and something. Whatever.
698. That's right. And Max, I'm feeling a bit nervous about the upcoming episodes of this because as of when we hit 700, I can't use QS rankings in this bit anymore because they start becoming ranges of 10. No. They don't do individual rankings once you hit 700.
Right.
So one of my go-tos is gone. There's no QS ranking thing to do anymore, and so I'm gonna I'll have my work cut out for me once we hit 700.
I feel for you.
Coming up on the show, I've got some stuff, really cool research out of UNSW about one of the reasons we might yawn that they've discovered by chucking some people in an MRI machine. Some of our favourite types of research. What do you got, Peter?
Love chucking people in MRI machines. I don't have any MRI machines with me today. I do have some cameras. I have some little decapoda, which you will find out later, and I've got some sleepy seals, which will be nice.
That's nice. And I got some...
Not like our beloved harp seal, which is quite awake.
I got some study coming out of Penn State University over in the US dealing with the brain. So that's pretty exciting. And we've got part 1 of this. Hit us up, Peta.
Do you guys know the term carcinisation?
Carcinisation, as into cancer something?
Oh.
Almost. It
That's
comes
good.
from a similar background, and I'm going to let you guess why it comes from a similar background.
Because it's
Carcinise.
Yeah.
What connects cancer to the marine world?
Carcinisation. Yeah, water. He's got it.
What? Max just said water because that is marine. He was like, that's got to be it.
Tell us, Peter. Put us out of our...
Well, anyone who knows there's stars and star formations would know that there is a crab star formation in the northern hemisphere that was named Cancer back in the day.
Crabification.
So carcinisation is actually crabification. It is the process of becoming crab, or crab-shaped at least.
Yes.
The fun thing is, and a lot of people who've seen memes online will know that evolution has evolved the crab shape at least 5 separate times within the decapod family. So crustaceans have repeatedly gone from having a cylindrical body plan with a big tail, sort of like a prawn or a lobster, to a flatter, rounder, less tail-heavy and, well, crabbier look. They look crabby. So everyone thinks this is super cool, and it's like, oh, crabs are the peak of evolution. Evolution just wants to make crabs, which I do think is funny and will continue to say. It is important to point out that evolution does not want anything. There is no goal. There is no peak. It just continues. But it does seem to continue to create crabs. Crabs seem to have some benefit.
It's crazy.
It's really fun. But one of the ways you can single out a true crab from its evolutionary followers is by its walk.
Yes, movement.
Because they walk sideways. So, I mean, people will know this. You'll have done, if anyone's done like high school sports, doing crab walks. If anyone's done hockey, we used to do crab walks around the oval. Oh, that is painful. We are not meant to move sideways like that. But true crabs, or Brachyura, are. And they're one of the most recognizable animal groups on Earth. There are around 7,900 described species of Brachyura, or true crabs, around the ocean, freshwater, and even on land. That's a lot of crabs. That's not even going into the new crabs. These are the real crabs. I don't know. We're going to call them true crabs. So moving sideways allows crabs to travel quickly in either direction, making it easy to evade predators. Like if you think about us, we really just instinctively move forward. We can move sideways and we can move backwards, but if you're going to do it, like you don't really have equal abilities to do all 4. Forwards is the main one. So these guys can do either side as easily, which is very cool. It's actually really rare to move sideways, though, across the animal kingdom, which is possibly because it interferes with other important activities like burrowing, mating, feeding. Forward, backwards tends to be a bit better for that. But even weirder, some crab species actually don't walk sideways, which raises the question of how it evolved and changed across the crab family tree, which they actually don't know, which is weird because this is something that everyone talks about with crabs, is the crab movement, or the scuttle, we say. So the researchers from Nagasaki University in Japan decided to get crabby, and I will grab a QS ranking for Nagasaki University.
121, yes, that's right.
270.
901 to 950. These would not fit our start of show vibes.
No.
So essentially what they did is they recorded 50 crab species, and they got these from a variety of sources, including the field, but also like fish markets and aquaria, just a bunch of random places. And then they put them in what they describe as a plastic circular arena that was designed to mimic their natural habitats.
Yeah, that'd be good.
One at a time. Just one at a time in a little arena, and they just sort of wander around.
But what happened after 5 p.m.? We'll never know.
So then they put them in there and they filmed them top down for about 10 minutes, which must have been a weird experience for the crab, but whatever. One odd thing about this study, though, that I really want to highlight is that though they looked at 50 species, they also only looked at 50 individuals. So just one per species, which really isn't great because you could just have one really weird one. The chosen crab.
It was a bit of a crab Olympics, wasn't it?
A little bit, but also these could be really weird walkers within their species. You don't know. So they did say that they're going to have to do it with more replication at some point. They're just sort of having a look. They did also say that apparently crabs differ very little between individuals, but again, replication is key in science, so bit of a red flag there. The footage was then analysed frame by frame to track each crab's body position and direction of movement, which then sort of comes a bit of an issue. Like, what is sideways movement? What counts?
What constitutes? Okay.
Because even when we're in a 2D plane, like what's our axes? How are they moving? So they developed this thing called the Forward Sideways Index, or the FSI, and it essentially runs from -1, which is purely sideways. So if my eyes are forward, I'm going directly horizontally, and +1, which is purely forward. I'm going in the direction of my eyes, or the carapace for these guys. So then what they did is they sort of mapped that onto a family tree of 344 different crab species. And then sort of highlighted the groupings. So, here's the cool thing. Of the 50 species and 50 individuals, 35 were sideways movers and 15 were forward movers. And those two were very, very separate.
Sorry.
Baby half seal is always excited about crabs because, actually, I don't know if I can confirm this, but I think they do eat crabs. So why wouldn't they be excited about crabs? So essentially, if you're a sideways walker, you're a sideways walker. If you're a forward walker, you're a forward walker. It's like the FSI was either -0.8 or +0.82. So diagonal movement wasn't really a thing. It was very closely aligned to the axes, which is kind of cool. But here's what they found out about evolution, which is the thing they were looking at. Unlike crabs, which have come a bunch of times, it turns out that sideways locomotion originated a single time from a forward-walking ancestor. So they all used to walk forward, and then at one point in time, one of their ancestors was like, sideways. I like sideways. And that was beneficial enough that exploded. So that was estimated to have occurred around 200 million years ago, which was in the earliest of the Jurassic period, like really soon after the Triassic-Jurassic mass extinction event. And while that sideways walking was largely stable once established, there's been a couple of times where they have reverted back to forward locomotion. But generally, it seems to be a good strategy. And one of the ways you can tell that is that there are far more sideways walkers than forward walkers in this group, which means that once sideways walking evolved, there was this huge, it's called diversification. It means that they suddenly have this new niche they can exploit, and then they can sort of split themselves in that niche into loads of different little things. So sideways walking allowed a lot more crabs to crabify, which is cool. Not carcinisation, that is when things that weren't crab become crab. These are crabs becoming more crab.
Right.
Hopefully that makes sense. So there's a bunch of different things here, like majoid crabs, which the ones that reverted back to forward walking have gone back into niches where it's probably not necessary to have sideward ones, like the majoid crabs or spider crabs that camouflage themselves, pea crabs that live inside bivalves, or soldier crabs that live in these swarms. You don't really need to have that, so it's good to get rid of it. But when it is helpful, it's really, really helpful. You get this huge, huge, huge diversity. So there's 7,468 species in this sideways walking group, compared to only 110 and 46 in the forward walking groups. So a lot more crabs. So it's really cool.
Do you think it's like a survival strategy that they've worked out? Because you got your prey, you got your predator coming at you flat out, and you just move sideways a bit and say, "You missed me."
That's exactly what it is. It's almost like everything else in the world is a minotaur or a bull. We always make fun of bulls for not being able to go backwards, but in reality, not many things can, and not many things can go sideways. Agility is not super common in the animal kingdom. Now, so that's what they've got.
2 more questions. Is the blue swimmer crab, is that a true crab or is that a forward-walking crab?
I believe it is a true crab that is forward-walking. So I think it's actually part of Ranonoida, which is these ones... Is it Ranonoida? No, Mycteris, which are these ones that have huge swarms on the beaches. I think they are forward-walking.
And the mud crab.
But true crab. Mud crab, I believe, is true crab sideways walking.
Right, okay, cool.
This is just from my memory, by the way. This could be not true. I haven't actually seen a mud crab in a while.
Okay.
Those crabs that sort of use their claws to thump on the ground, and the vibrations tell the female crabs how big the male one is by thumping around on it. And it got us thinking about, there's this whole thing, it occurs a lot in mammals, where a lot of mammals have evolved this ability to fake deeper vocalizations in the males as a way of appearing larger. So I don't think these crabs have quite gotten there yet, although there would be a benefit to being able to fake a deeper vibration for the male crabs. All sorts of animals. Koalas do it, lions do it, chimps do it, humans do it, all sorts of monkeys do it.
Yeah, humans do it.
The males,
so annoying.
Males of the species are able to...
What are you talking about, Peter?
Well, that's right, Max. That's what I was thinking about, you know?
That's assuming you do have a weird science today, Gabriel.
Oh, Max. European birds are afraid of women. That's the science I've got for you now.
I saw this.
This comes to us from the journal British Ecological Society and led out of the University of Turin. QS ranking, please.
342.
Yeah, 400.
408.
Oh, no.
Well done.
Yeah.
Okay. Pretty solid.
Show's coming good.
It's all coming back together. They went to cities in 5 countries across Europe: Spain, France, Germany, Czechia, and Poland. They were looking at birds in urban centres, so in the cities, across 37 bird species, including European great tits, European magpies, and pigeons. So a collection of birds that all do live in areas with lots of people, so they're going to be somewhat used to people. But they'll all respond differently. Some hang around just fine, like pigeons. Others will fly off very quickly, like the magpies that they have over there, which are not related to our magpies. They just look the same, which is why our magpies are called magpies. So they have a variation of bird behavior going on in response to humans. And what they were measuring was the FID, which of course, Peter, means...
how the fly away thing. It's like how fast they fly away from you.
Flight initiation distance. That's
flight
right.
initiation. Yeah. How far away from you do they go like, I'm going to go away?
Do they fly off? Exactly right. And they just measure that distance. So what was happening across Europe during this study was a team of 8 bird nerds, or ornithologists to use their proper title, were
bird nerds
walking slowly towards birds in cities across Europe and measuring what distance they flew away.
Wait, sorry, so it's not women, it's these women.
So they had 4 women, 4 men. They made them all dress in similar clothing. Right. They were doing stuff like tucking their hair back.
And they weren't known to the birds.
They weren't known to the birds.
Yeah.
They tried different areas and different spots and tried to never hit the same bird twice for its distance. And then they just pick it and just start walking towards it. They went with the relaxed birds, not one that was already freaked out, so had to be feeding or preening or something.
Like freaked out if some person with like all features covered started slowly walking towards me. That'd be weird.
Just walk towards it and see when they fly away. 2,701 times they did this study.
Sorry. Each?
No,
Total. That's still way too many.
2,701 times in Madrid and all these other places, just walking at birds and seeing how far away they were when they flew off.
Yeah.
And what they found, for a start, they found that the male birds tend to hang around a bit longer than the female birds. The female birds are a bit more flighty. But the big one, the kicker, is on average, the human men walking up towards them were able to get 1 meter closer to the birds on average before they flew away than the women could.
That's
1 meter closer.
Yeah.
1 meter, even after they controlled for a bunch of other stuff like clothing and height and what country they were in and how the people approached, and the birds were still flying away earlier when women were the ones approaching, which is pretty cool. Pretty weird, pretty cool.
Can I give my theory before we hear the real theories? My theory is that men do this often enough that the birds know when to fly away. But when a woman's coming at you looking all terrifying, they're like, I haven't experienced this before. Better get going.
It's not the worst idea.
That's my theory.
They're more habituated to men. They did try and control for a lot of stuff that they'd be using to tell the difference between men and women. But yeah, for some reason, these birds seem to think that women pose a greater risk than men. So they flew away
Correct.
earlier. It happens in both male and female birds, but the male birds appear to have an even bigger pronounced difference between when they fly away for a man and for a woman. Approaching them, they seem to have even less trust in female women approaching. Yeah. So as for why, no one knows. The author said,
a little weird.
The author said, I fully believe our results that urban birds react differently based on the sex of the person approaching them, but I can't explain them right now.
Did they ever just look into and think whether they just had a strange aura? Like they need to find other women, maybe. Just like general people. Maybe just measure people randomly in the park that don't know they're doing it.
Yeah.
Then maybe you'll get closer. I just feel like maybe these 4 women have a really weird vibe.
Well, it does mean something pretty fascinating there, right? Because even though it is 4 women, 4 men who they were testing in this study, and they tried to make all 8 of them look pretty similar, and they were all apparently pretty similar height and that.
Have you seen photos of it or of them?
Yeah, they're just in drab sort of clothing. They either wore grey, white, or black.
Gabe, come on. They're bird nerds. They don't own anything else.
Yeah.
But that was
with
part
a,
of
with a bird
the setup.
embroidered on the front of their jumper.
Most likely.
Like a big hawk.
Yeah, the women just happen to be bird of prey specialists.
Yeah. But there is something that these birds must be able to are picking up on that is different between the men and the women. At least the small collection of men and women that they weren't controlling for. It wasn't a factor they were looking at. They hypothesized some pretty wild stuff, that it could be chemical signals like pheromones or really intricate body shape differences. They said they were pretty similar height, pretty similar build, pretty similar weights, but it could be small differences in body shape that the birds are picking up on. There's something.
Surely it could be like behavior or the way they walk. Like maybe the women were taking the experiment more seriously, and so they had heavier steps or something. You know,
this is my gut feeling as well. Is that it was probably something less extravagant. Like maybe the women walked faster, even though they tried to walk the same, or were
different gait.
Had maybe jewelry on more often. I'm sure they took the jewelry off, but. But
the physicality seems to be more likely than you have a chemical signature that a bird has somehow evolved to know. Like, why would they care?
Which they admit in the paper, saying it would be very weird for them to be able to pick up on a chemical cue of you walking from a long distance away. Or it could be, making different noises or more noises just with rustling on the way they're walking, or having flowier clothing or less consistent clothing. Like there's so many other variables that it could be. Yeah. They controlled for a lot, but even then in the stats that they ran, in the model they ran, you can see that a lot of the variation isn't explained in what they found. There is this difference between the men and the women, but there's a lot of unknown variability between how the birds reacted and stuff they weren't measuring. But what it does mean is that for studies about birds in the lab and in the field, we probably do need to take into consideration more than we have been who is approaching and how they're approaching and doing the observations in this study, because it could sway the results. That's
this bird has a really high heart rate. No, it's just terrified.
Yeah, it's just sexist. It's just terrified of women.
It's a misogynistic bird.
Scientists from Pennsylvania State University. QS ranking.
Penn State. Oh.
I think it's high, but I've been
I'm gonna
burnt
go
so much.
38.
Yeah, I think it's up there too. I think 70.
I'm going against my US. I'm going with the US bias.
Yes, it's 82.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That feels fair. Feels fair.
Have uncovered a surprising connection between everyday movement and brain health, which they have shown starts in your core. We have long...
Oh, I saw this.
Yes.
Really, really interesting.
We have long known that physical activity helps protect the brain, improving memory and lowering the risk of conditions like dementia. But exactly how that happens has not been entirely clear. Now, new research suggests a simple mechanical process may play a key role. The study found that when your abdominal muscles contract, something that happens constantly when you walk or stand or shift your posture, they create small pressure changes inside your body. That pressure then travels up through the spine and into the skull, causing the brain to move ever so slightly. It might sound strange, but this subtle movement appears to be important. Using advanced imaging in mice, researchers observed that the brain actually shifts position just after the abdominal muscles engage before the limbs start moving. Even gentle pressure on the abdomen at levels lower than a standard blood pressure cuff was enough to trigger this effect. So why does this matter? The answer lies in cerebrospinal fluid, or CSF, This is the clear liquid that surrounds and protects the brain.
I'm talking about this later on in the show, mate. This is great.
It also
just about the fluid. Yeah.
Yeah. It also helps flush out waste products, including proteins linked to neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's. The researchers used computer simulations to show that this tiny rhythmic brain movement acts as a bit like squeezing a sponge as the brain
It's pretty
shifts.
dense material, the brain. You've got a lot of neurons in there forming a lot of connections. Like the web is very, very dense. And so I do imagine that putting some pressure on it would help the cleanup crew move through.
Exactly, yeah, and just improve the whole flow of getting the bad.
Not too much pressure. Just put that out there. Not too much pressure.
Yeah.
They're talking about slight abdominal movements, not concussions. Do not slam your head against things. It's not good for your brain.
Yeah, or boxing, whatever. This research builds on what scientists already know about the brain's glymphatic system, which is most active during sleep. Now it appears that physical activity during the day may also contribute to keeping the brain healthy. And there's still more to learn, they reckon, especially how this translates to humans. But the takeaway is simple. Movement matters. Even small, everyday actions, standing up, walking around, engaging your core could be quietly supporting your brain's long-term health.
A small benefit to period cramps.
Okay.
I think this whole show is a science experiment.
All right, yeah, let's just get into the science.
Triple
Z. We want to appeal to your senses.
We're live. We're just talking about crabs off air. What did you want to say, Peter? The one you...
I was saying that there was a thing I didn't talk about, which is that the evolution of sideways walking happened at the Jurassic-Triassic boundary, which they're not sure why that happened, that mass extinction, but they think it could have something to do with the ocean and sea level rise. I thought that was interesting.
We tune into 4ZZZ, and the show is No Idea with me, Max. We got Gabe. We got a friendly neighbourhood marine scientist, Peter.
You know what tuna is?
Fish.
It's fish!
Thank God someone's working on this. I don't know what I'd do without it.
Fish are friends, not food.
Great start. Gabe, what does a cat say?
Yeah.
Max, what does a chicken say?
Cluck, cluck.
And Izzy, what does a shark say?
What are you doing?
Okay, here's my question to you two. Would you rather, I think about this a lot, would you rather be a seal or a dolphin?
Dolphin.
Yeah, I think dolphin.
See, if I listen to my heart, it says dolphin. But then I'm like, well, seals have one big advantage here, which is that they can go on land and just like laze around in the sun
and
for
they
a
got
bit.
whiskers.
Which sounds like, what is better than lounging around on the beach? There's not much in life that's better than that. But there's some new research that's coming into my decision making because it shows that they might not actually be that relaxed. So we've had a major Aussie uni link up here with UQ, JCU, and Deakin. I would like US rankings for all of those, please.
UQ, I think, is
42.
40 now.
40. Yeah.
42.
Okay.
It is 42?
Yeah, okay.
It's 42.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. UNSW is 40.
Yeah.
UQ is 42. JCU is in the 300s?
Yeah, they're up there. 200.
440.
Okay.
440.
And Deakin.
Yeah.
And Deakin 250.
Yeah, I'll go 180.
207
There you go.
for Deakin. So still major link-ups here. Major link-ups in Aussie unis. Love to see it. And they're looking at sleepy, sandy seals. So after a foraging trip out at sea, first seals will return to land. It's called a haul out, which is kind of a sick name. Yeah, we're going to haul out, get on the beach, chill out. It's sort of like, it's traditionally been assumed to be like this rest and recovery because, I mean, if you've seen this, if you've looked at it with your eyes, you'd think so. They kind of just lay there. They look like blissful, honestly, just rolling around in the sand, chilling, sleeping. Because despite all of their amazing adaptations to be great at it, diving is still very physically demanding, right? Going on a dive is really difficult. So you know when you're watching a movie and there's like someone's in a car and it goes, squeeze, and then they like plunge into a body of water.
Yeah.
Do you hold your breath with them?
I usually try.
I usually try.
20 seconds in and then I'm gasping already.
Yeah, like I always try and see if I'd make it because I'm like, oh, I feel like, let's see if this is realistic. And I often don't. And then I'm just,
I die
it sucks.
every time.
I die every time. But it also just in that moment where you're trying to hold your breath, it feels awful, right? Like your body hates it. Your body hates not having oxygen. And that's because, well, we're not really made for holding our breath like that. It is one of the coolest things about marine mammals is that they have completely changed their, I think it's cardiology and like lung physiology to be able to do this. So when marine mammals dive, they do hold their breath. But they also have a couple of other things. So one of the things they do is that their heart rate drops dramatically. It's called bradycardia, and it conserves oxygen. So heart beats less, things move less metabolism, you use less oxygen. But they're also really great at storing oxygen around their bodies and working on very little oxygen generally. The one thing is that it's still not perfect, and long dives can trigger what they call anaerobic or oxygenless metabolism. So metabolism happening in your body without oxygen, it's not a great idea because you have some issues. So number one that we would know is that it causes lactic acid to build up. You'll know this when you're exercising, you'll feel it. The other thing that tends to build up is nitrogen. Now, nitrogen may ring a bell for divers who are terrified like me of the bends, which is decompression sickness or barotrauma. It's when you experience a rapid decrease in pressure. So it can happen in air or water, but it's usually water. Essentially what happens is when you scuba dive, your body absorbs nitrogen from the compressed air that you're breathing into your blood. And then as you return to the surface and the surrounding water pressure drops, that nitrogen needs to clear from your system. Sort of like if you imagine opening a fizzy drink, it's the same thing. As the pressure drops, it goes pss, and it becomes bubbles. So now if you ascend too quickly, the nitrogen can't escape. It just forms bubbles in your blood and tissues. And that's what causes decompression sickness, which is incredibly painful and it can be deadly. You need to get to a compression chamber stat if that happens to you. But why don't marine mammals get the bends? Like, they breathe like us, they have lungs like us, so why can they shoot up to the surface at these incredible speeds? Well, it's mainly because they're really good at storing oxygen in their blood and their muscles rather than just in their lungs. They actually shut off their lungs and prevent nitrogen from being absorbed in the dive, which is really cool for the bends, but in saying that, it's not a perfect system. So they will still get some nitrogen bubbles in their blood, which probably hurts and they definitely want to get rid of. So they've got lactic acid, they've got nitrogen, they've got a bunch of things in their body that just isn't very nice when you don't have enough oxygen. So one of the things seals do to fix this is that to give their body back oxygen. They call it an oxygen debt, so paying back their oxygen debt. And one of the things they do is that they spend a lot of time at the surface resting and recovering between their dives, like their deep dives and their long dives. But there came this question of, what if that surface time isn't actually fully paying it off? What if they've got some leftover oxygen debt? So these researchers followed some seals around on their dives and on shore, and they measured their heart rate, which is really just to show you how much energy that they're using. So at sea, they had sort of expected patterns. So they looked at two different species here, but we're just going to talk about them generally. So they had very clear cycles of low heart rate during dives and a high heart rate at the surface. So that high heart rate is when they're recovering, they're trying to get oxygen back into their system. And both species sort of had, when they were diving, went past their aerobic dive limit, or essentially got to the point where they were doing oxygen-free metabolism and hurting their bodies. Some of their dives, that lasted up to 5.8 minutes, so a very, very long time. Across a foraging trip, essentially the way they can prove that it gets worse and worse and the surface time isn't fixing them completely is that their dive durations shortened and their heart rate at depth rose. So it was getting harder and harder for them to go on these dives as they went, which meant that essentially this is building up, it's getting harder. Yeah. So then what happens, they came back on shore. And this is where it got a little weird and unexpected, because rather than settling into that low, flat heart rate that you would expect from rest and recovery, they had a really pronounced rise in heart rate after hauling out. So it actually peaked at an average of 81 to 84 beats per minute, and that was about 6 to 7 hours after coming ashore. So the seals settle on land, they go to bed, and then their heart rate spikes. And sort of following those peaks, the heart rate gradually then fell back to their true resting minimum of 42 beats per minute. That's the Australian ones anyway. Double for a bit for these peaks, double their resting heart rate, which is also consistent with their deep sleep, by the way, but that's the resting heart rate. And that wasn't achieved until 19 to 43 hours after haul out. So they come on land, and then at about 6 to 8 hours afterwards, their heart rate spikes and it stays high and only gradually decreases till about 19 to 43 hours. It's a long
day and
time.
A half later.
Yeah, with their heart rate elevated above minimum. It was actually the majority of their time on shore was elevated. And the key thing here is they found that the harder the seals were working at sea, so the more effort they put at sea, the longer they stayed out, the longer they used that anaerobic metabolism, the higher their heart rate would be when they came on shore. So essentially that cost, that debt of pushing yourself at sea was just being delayed, at least in part, to when they're on shore. So the thing that they think the elevated heart rate is doing while they're on land is clearing lactic acid, restoring oxygen stores in their blood and muscle. Like I mentioned, they have to keep a lot of stuff there, and offloading nitrogen that had built in the blood. They also think, and this has been sort of looked at before, they tend to delay the digestion of their food. So they don't actually digest while they're at sea. They can just sort of delay it till they get back to shore and do that later. Yeah, which is good because you wouldn't want to use that energy on digestion while you're at sea because it's not going to help you then really because you don't have enough oxygen to do anything with it. So you just should wait until you're on shore and you have that oxygen and can really do it. So I think this is really interesting because it shows that even when they look like they're resting, they might be like, I mean, maybe not stressed because they're probably used to it, but they're working really hard to put their bodies back together. And it's kind of interesting because I think I look at marine mammals and I always think, wow, they're so perfectly adapted to their conditions. And that's where we come back into this idea of perfectly evolved. Nothing is perfectly evolved. Things just evolve until they work. And this works. It may not be pretty, it may not be easy, and it certainly probably hurts looking at the way it works, but it works. And so that's why they do this. And so even though they look peaceful and happy, they're probably like quite energetic and having their body is really working hard, which in the end, honestly, the last point on this is just that it makes my decision of dolphin or seal muddier. Yeah. Because if that rest on the beach is not really rest, like it's just an active phase of delayed recovery, I mean, I don't want that. I kind of want to just be chilling. So like the question remains, are dolphins or seals more chilling? Who knows?
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, the
I wonder
playlist.
if the dolphins have to do that sort of stuff too.
Yeah.
Well, so I thought about this. Dolphins are interesting in that their rest is actually quite famous in that they don't have a true sleep. They turn off half of their brain at a time, like laterally. So right or left. So I would be surprised if they could do something like this because it seems like this comes from seals being able to go to land.
Yeah, true. In some unseen footage. Did you see those dolphins that greeted them when they landed?
Mm-hmm.
Well, apparently some were seen leaving Earth and saying so long and thanks for all the fish.
Oh my God. I was wondering where you were going.
Oh my God.
So you're tuning into 4ZZZ. And the show is No Idea with me, Max. We've got Issy in the room, we've got Maximillian, and we've got Gabe.
Single press overtake, stay in scenario 7.
You push me off the track, I think you have to leave a space. All the time you have to leave a space.
Come on. Get it, girl. Get it. Woo! Yeah, you don't need to tell me that. Max, we're in this together, mate. Head down. Come on. Great job, guys. That was hard work. Oh, that was hard work.
F1 happened on the weekend, and I think Mercedes boss Toto Wolff summed it up best after the weekend's race. He said, anyone still complaining about the racing created by Formula One's new cars after the Miami Grand Prix should hide.
Why does it sound like a threat?
I know. So most teams brought updates, but Mercedes opted to... they're going to bring their updates for the next race in Canada in a couple of weeks' time. And so...
Mercedes is so far ahead, they didn't need to bring that up.
Yeah.
Mercedes brought an update that get more ahead and then they'd break those rules and have to start sharing their secret information to let the other teams catch up.
Yeah. Anyway, Ferrari, Red Bull and McLaren all brought updates. And, yeah, to bring the fight to Mercedes and... McLaren reckon they basically brought a whole new car to the event. And Lando Norris put it on pole for the sprint, then went on to win the sprint. And then teammate Oscar Piastri in the other McLaren, he came in second. And then the all-important qualifying, which has been sort of the bane of the F1 new car, sort of 50-50 split of the energy. For the feature race, saw the young Italian Kimi Antonelli secure pole. So Mercedes back on top again. And then come race day, due to bad weather, a forecast, the race start was brought forward by 3 hours. So it did turn into be a dry race, even though they had a bit of rain in the morning before the race.
Yeah, and a little towards the end of the race as well, but
Right.
it didn't really affect any strategies.
They can stay on slicks, yeah.
Yeah.
And after a slow start by Kimi, all I can say is all hell just broke loose. So. Charles Leclerc just seemed to drive right around it all. But Max Verstappen tried to get the lead.
He got a bit keen on a curve.
On the second corner and managed to do a full 360 and just went and dropped back to, say, 11th or something like that. Anyway, suffice to say, there were 5 different leaders of the race during the first half of the race. And this included Charles Leclerc, Kimi Antonelli, Lando Norris, Oscar Piastri, and Max Verstappen. But ultimately, Kimi won with Lando second and Oscar Piastri third. So no anthem for this episode, unfortunately. Everyone's thoughts on the F1 last weekend? Maximum?
I think we can say that even though Antonelli won the feature race, I think McLaren were the real winners here. They've used the time off quite judiciously. They managed to close the gap to Mercedes. They looked pretty competitive, obviously winning the sprint as well. So I think, good to see. And there wasn't too much yo-yoing either. So I think those little tweaks the FIA has done to the rules and to the deployment of the battery have actually managed to produce even better racing than what we've been seeing.
Yeah, it was cool. And it was nice to see the flipping rear wing that Ferrari have been using.
Oh, yes, they've been teasing, haven't they? And now, finally, we've actually seen it in race trim.
It got used on the Red Bulls.
As well.
Yes.
With the, what do they call it? The Max Arena. Flipping thing. And it seems to be saving them a bit of time because they flip the rear wing around and it opens up the gap a bit more on the back of the car and just lets a little bit more airflow through and speeds them up down the straights and seems to be working. So it'll be interesting to see if that little aero switch starts happening on the other teams too. But yeah,
the only other team with a weird rear wing is Audi, I want to say, where they sort of split the difference and they put it in the middle.
There were a few time penalties during the race. Max Verstappen got a 5-second penalty for breaking the line as he came out of the pits. You meant to stay on the right-hand side of that white line before rejoining the race. And the other one, which was notable for me, was that Charles Leclerc spun, touched the wall, recovered, and managed to drive back on the last lap, where he got passed by everyone. And then the FIA decided to give him a 30-second penalty anyway for driving an unsafe car. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, fascinating, right? That he seemed to be able to get the car around, but he got penalised. They're very anti-you trying to drive a car around when it's not doing well. The FIA, they really hate it, especially like when they have accidents and they try and drive it back to the pits and they sort of end up stranded on the side of the road.
Yes.
They hate that. So, well...
It was the last lap.
It felt a bit harsh.
Yeah, very harsh.
Yeah. And
I mean, because some of the all-time great races I remember have like an incident like that on the first lap, say, and someone will heroically get it back to the pits. Like I'm thinking Alonso in Baku one year managed to recover to like a points-paying position from basically a broken car on lap one. So I don't know. I feel like it's definitely a bit of a sea change then that they're being stricter on this, but
because Charles was just driving off the circuit, so he would be driving in a safe manner for all the other competitors driving around him. So he was doing that on purpose.
Did any of the other drivers complain about it, or
I doubt it. I haven't heard, but And then we had the classic aerial stunt by Gasly, was it?
Yes. Oh my gosh, yeah. Watching the onboard footage was crazy because Liam Lawson had a gearbox issue or failure that caused him to ram straight into Pierre Gasly, flipping him, and everyone's like, thank God for the halo. Because that well and truly was quite a scary sight to see. I also love the commentators just swiftly moving on as well from that. It was quite watching the highlights the morning after because they moved the race to 3 a.m. I thought I would have a lovely leisurely morning at 6 a.m. but they moved it due to weather issues. Just the highlights swiftly moving on.
And I was concerned for Gasly as he was getting out of the car because the car's like at 45 degrees. I think that better not fall on him while he's trying to get out of the car.
Dangling there. Yeah, it was well and truly. I always assumed it was always going to be a boring race, but that last kind of lap was an absolute nail biter. And George Russell pulling through with a broken wing as well was just absolute cinema. So
I know. It's very rare that you get a Formula One race where it comes down to the last lap.
Fully.
And positions change. It was so dynamic. And it was good to see Piastri get P3 anyway.
Oh, yes.
Because it was looked a bit worrying with Charles Leclerc trying to catch him, but Leclerc's rear tyres are actually just going off.
Because Piastri started in P7 and then clawed his way up to P3. So there's always going to be interesting dynamics at play.
Yeah.
I also want to just chuck in, I did catch F2 as well. They were forced to race in the rain. So if you still want a little bit of the Formula action, I would strongly recommend watching the F2, both the sprint race and the actual proper race, because Nick Tosoliva, who is the leading kind of, who's at the top of the ladder at the moment, spun out in the first lap.
Similar to Max
it was
Verstappen.
very similar to Max Verstappen,
okay.
but he did not recover. So it was just anyone's race at that point. So it was about an 11-minute long highlight reel. So I would strongly recommend if you're waiting for Canada upcoming.
And it just shows you why they're some of the best drivers in the world. I'm talking about the F1 drivers, with Max Verstappen spinning and doing a 360 in the middle of the pack at the first lap, second corner. And then I wonder, how did no one hit him? And then you watch the onboard of Lewis Hamilton. He's the one behind Max Verstappen. He just seamlessly just drove right past him. Not a problem. So, yeah.
So good.
F1 Academy. What do we got?
Oh, we've got plenty. Well, it is it's making its historical first visit to Canada with the all-female series set to race in Montreal on the same time as our F1 drivers. It is the second round of the 2026 F1 Academy season, and it is going to be the supporting race as usual with the F1 Canadian Grand Prix. The Montreal event is one of the two in the 2026 season, featuring the 3-car race weekend format that we kind of discussed 2 weeks ago, in order to increase track time for the drivers, of course, with the cancellation of the Saudi Arabia GP, which is one of the main kind of GPs for the girls.
So playing catch-up.
Playing catch-up, basically. Yeah. So F1 Academy has signed a contract to race in Canada until at least 2028, which is very exciting. More opportunities.
So I'll get to know the track eventually.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So unlike Shanghai, drivers will not be able to test at the circuit beforehand, so they will be going in blind. And this is, of course, where simulator time becomes especially useful, learning the unfamiliar circuit. So I'm very excited to see the girls, what they do in Canada as well. And this new race format, which has an additional race. We kind of talked about how F1 Academy is almost kind of preserving these weird little formats of races. So they still do a reverse grid. But this one, if I can find my notes from previous weeks, basically they have to set 2 strong qualifying laps, 2 strong lap times in qualifying to basically qualify for this additional race.
That's
really?
Right. Yeah, they take the top 2.
They take the top 2 times, not just the top 1.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm very excited. It's going to catch up for the last weeks of content that we've got. I also wanted to look kind of outwards at female drivers in general. Dorian Pan and a number 30 Duquan team came third in the European Le Mans series in France over the last week. This was in the LMP2/Pro AM categories, because there's different categories in endurance racing. The team is also currently leading the category by 5 points as well. So this was fantastic to see her and her 2 male teammates dominating the series. Plenty of celebrations all round while they count down to 58 days to Imola. I also wanted to bring back Joanne Seconte, who was an F1 Academy Aussie driver, who's now heading to Japan to compete in the Kyogo Cup in the Fuji Speedway circuit this weekend alongside other Aussie Paige Rats. The Kyogo Cup is an all-female Formula Racing championship held in Japan that sits in kind of the F4 category, so it's a feeder series. So if you're looking for some entertainment this weekend whilst we wait for Canada, it'll be free to stream on YouTube as well.
I didn't know about that category.
Yeah, it was really, really cool. And they also race in Suzuka, which is one of some of the F1 F1 drivers' favorite circuits. So this is a fantastic way of getting kind of more racing opportunity, getting more track time, which is all essential for these drivers.
Okay. NASCAR also happened on the weekend. It was in Texas. And former supercar champion Shane Van Gisbergen finished in the top 20 by finishing 17th. He still sits 19th overall in the championship, and as we know, he has to finish top 16 to be eligible for the playoffs. And this could happen as soon as this weekend, because NASCAR will be racing at a flat race circuit, which is Shane's happy hunting ground.
None of this oval stuff.
He'll be competing in all 3 categories over the weekend. That means trucks, the O'Reilly feeder series, and the Cup at Watkins Glen Road Circuit. And
what a great circuit.
And it gets better. It will probably be wet, so that really suits Shane's driving style. Very much the Max Verstappen of wet. And such is Shane's prowess on street and road circuits.
Awful.
Yeah.
There's the episode title.
Such is his prowess, NASCAR has actually consulted him to help design and test the new San Diego street circuit, which will make its debut next month.
Ooh.
Nice.
SVG ran the proposed circuit in NASCAR Simulator to provide feedback on braking markers and curbing. SVG identified that the pit entry was really, really bad and suggested adding a corner for it to fix it, which NASCAR implemented. SVG described the new track as having long straights, bumpy sections, square corners, and a high-risk, high-reward blind right-handers. And so, yeah, it's interesting that NASCAR recognises SVG's expertise when it comes to road circuits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Any more to add for this week's
MotoGP this weekend in France and SailGP this weekend in Bermuda.
Cool. Maxi?
Happy days.
Easy.
Full of content, mate.
Max, your thoughts? Wet race?
Yeah, the slippery in the wet.
You tune into 4ZZZ and the show with no idea with me, Max. We've got Izzy. We've got Russell waving to us. We've got
Nice.
we've got Gabe. We've got Peta. What do you got for us, Gabe?
Should we go around the room one more time?
Do everyone upstairs as well?
I've got for you something that's going to make you yawn, so just get ready for it. It's going to happen. Humans are known to yawn when we start thinking about yawning, so let's just start triggering them and keep it right on rolling. Because the question that we're asking here is why? The best of questions. Why do we yawn? Any ideas? Does anyone know?
I know that we don't know.
Yeah.
It's a big thing in science that we have no idea.
That's the show.
That's it.
Done. Wrap it up.
They said the name of the movie.
No idea.
We do know some ideas of what's going on behind yawning. There's some ideas that it sort of helps with oxygenation or something like that, or that it's a relaxant for around sleep. But, for every explanation, there is an equal and opposite explanation the other way. Yeah. Question about,
if
then
it's
why do we
so
yawn
good for
when we...
oxygenation, why is it social?
Yeah. Why does it have a social aspect in animals like humans? Why do we do it when we're waking up? And why do we, there's all these other things that come around. And it's not just a human thing, yawning. It's something that our closest living relatives, like chimpanzees, do. But it's also a thing that our very not closely living relatives do, like crocodiles and sea turtles and birds. We all yawn.
Yeah.
If it's that widespread of a function across the animal kingdom, surely there's a reason for it, or at least a couple of different reasons of why it's happening. It would be extremely unlikely that something like yawning would be an evolutionary byproduct that has persisted for that long.
Like a tailbone.
That has persisted for that long across all of these different animals that have hundreds of millions of years of divergent evolution going on. And so a new study from the University of New South Wales has put forward a pretty wild new hypothesis for why we might yawn. You got a QS ranking for UNSW?
40.
It's 20.
Oh,
no.
We all just yawned mentally.
I think I said it was 40 earlier in the show.
You did earlier, and I was like, haha.
I stitched myself and you up.
Spreading misinformation.
They put 22 people in real-time MRI scanners. No babies involved, and they weren't all scanned separately. Then they got them to contagiously yawn, which means they played them videos of people, all sorts of people, yawning, and even animals yawning. Dogs, cats, chimpanzees, sea turtles yawning to trigger their own yawns while they were being scanned, while their brain was being imaged by
Which
an
animal
MRI
did it the
machine.
most? What are we most connected to? We're like, yes, turtles.
I don't think it was played like that. I think they just played them clips until they got good yawns. I think that was just, they just
Someone
wanted to
should
see
check
what
that out.
yawning
Which
was
animal
doing.
do we yawn to most?
I think they just had them playing clips, and then they were lying in the MRI machine, and then they'd just record what the yawning was doing. And so this was published in the journal Respiratory Physiology and Neurobiology. The researchers themselves niche. And the researchers themselves say their findings are still speculative. So I'm putting that before I tell you what the findings are.
Right.
This is not the discovery that cracks the mystery of yawning, but if more studies confirm it, it could be the start of that discovery, or at least one of the reasons why we yawn. And I'm being this pedantic up front because it's pretty cool what they found. They were looking at, Max, what you were talking about earlier in the show, the cerebrospinal fluid. It is what is produced in the ventrals right in the core of our brain. It is then pumped around the brain, and our brain is just floating in it. It just sits there. And like you said, Max, it's not just about that protection from movement within the skull. It's also about washing away waste material and keeping the brain healthy through a lot of different mechanisms. So that cerebrospinal fluid is really important for that. And we churn through it. Like 4 times a day, you're replacing the cerebrospinal fluid if you average it out. So it's getting constantly washed through. What they found is that during normal breathing, venous blood, which has delivered oxygen already and is on its way back to the heart, drains out of the skull, and the cerebrospinal fluid enters and goes up into the skull, right? So during breathing, we're draining the deoxygenated blood out, and the cerebrospinal fluid comes back up. During fake yawns, where they told them to pretend yawning, the same thing happened. The blood came down, that had delivered oxygen, got that out, and the spinal fluid went up. During full yawns, where they were doing full proper yawning, that is the only time where it reversed, where the cerebrospinal fluid was flushed down out of the skull.
It's a flush?
Because it's
maybe.
Yeah, because this fluid is being produced in those ventrals from blood, and then it gets flushed back down, and I believe then re-enters the bloodstream and gets processed that way.
Cleaned up.
But so the only thing they saw, not during breathing, not during fake yawns, but during real contagious yawning, it's called, where it's triggered by something else, that's when that cerebrospinal fluid was getting flushed down in the brain imaging they were doing. They also say it could have, the yawning was probably associated with small drops, about 0.2 or 0.3 degrees Celsius changes in the blood entering the brain during yawning as a way of cooling the brain. But they focus on that cerebrospinal fluid, saying that yawning could be a way of helping to clear waste from the brain. But they don't have the solid proof.
But then...
Yeah.
Then my neurons are firing. I might need to yawn soon. Here's my thought. Maybe the social aspect, this actually doesn't it doesn't go against the social aspect as much as other theories I've heard do, because social animals usually have much more complex neural systems. So I wonder if social animals evolved a way of being like, oh, you need to flush, I need to flush. Imagine if that just happened at the same time, because those animals have more need to do it because you're more intense. That doesn't make much sense, but I feel like I'm cooking with something here.
And they say it also would play into why it tends to happen more around bedtime, a way of flushing waste out before we go to sleep, and then potentially why it also happens after bedtime as a way of flushing waste out that may have accumulated during sleep and getting that process kicking again. So pretty damn cool. A very entry-level study, small study, 22 people, but yawning may help us
get
clear
more
waste
people in
from the
MRI
brain.
machines.
We need some more MRI machines scanning research on this show. That's what I got for you, Max.
Can we volunteer? I feel like we should go in.
We could. We're going to hear from a band called Waste, and the song is called God Left This Place Long Ago.
But what if that little treat was a termite? I don't know what. Anyway.
What bridge are we crossing here?
We're crossing something, Max. Let me cook. All right.
You're tuning into 4ZZZ, and the show is No Idea, your weekly dose of science. With me, Max. We've got Peta. We've got Gabe. What do you got for us, Issy?
What have I got for you, Max? Have you ever wondered what happens to your brain when you're on magic mushrooms? Period.
I imagine it fires a lot more or less. Maybe it's less. I don't know. I actually don't know much about magic mushrooms.
More meditative, a little bit
relaxed,
psychedelic,
as
we put it. This paper excites me because it is a very powerful collaboration with UQ, and I'm going to ask for the QS ranking.
42.
Imperial College of London.
Imperial.
3.
They're like 2.
Yeah, 3.
2, correct, Peter. Okay. And the University of California.
USC. Wait, USC Berkeley or USC?
USC San Francisco.
Okay.
Interesting.
That's
65?
112.
Yeah, 60.
6.
6?
Oh,
6. What? For a combined result of a QS ranking of 50 on this paper.
Wow.
That is crazy.
Yeah. The researchers recruited 28 healthy people who had never taken magic mushrooms before. They recruited them via study advertisements and referrals.
Can you imagine?
Referrals. And
Seems
referrals.
like a Facebook ad for, do you want to do magic mushrooms for science? I promise this is real. Please, it's not spam. It's not a joke. Can you actually do this? Yes, it's real.
That's what I
Also,
was
please
thinking.
never have done them before.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. I was like, what psychology students were like fighting to get this credit? But no, these were, study advertisements and referrals. They were given 2 oral doses of psilocybin, which is the more kind of active, it's the active part of magic mushrooms that gives that kind of psychedelic effect, but with a higher dosage. So they were given 2 oral doses 4 weeks apart. One was a control dose of 1 milligram of psilocybin, and the first dosing day, which is the it's below the dose that's able to give you a psychedelic effect, so just kind of like building a little bit of a tolerance, and then a fully
Make sure you're not allergic.
Yes,
Probably
and
a
then
good one.
and probably not giving you you don't have any don't give you a bad trip. 4 weeks later, they were given a fully active dose of 25 milligrams of psilocybin, considered to be a high dose and capable of inducing, quote, profound psychological effects. They then put them in EEGs and gave them no kind of visual stimuli, so they were just kind of tripping balls.
Staring at the wall.
Yes. And wanted to have a look.
While their brain activity's being monitored.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, honestly, if you're tripping, one of the wildest things must be like a bunch of electrodes coming out of your skull.
Yes.
Your brain, you'd be like, wow.
They wanted to, particularly also a unique opportunity to look at brain changes after someone's first psychological, psychedelic effect is what I'm looking for. Eyes closed, task-free EEG is what they did. With recordings done, and they recorded them both after they had done the subdued dose, and then when they did that higher dose, and they evaluated what they were looking at. Researchers say that after a month, modest brain changes were visible, relating to things like cognitive flexibility, psychological insight, and well-being, which isn't kind of surprising.
But they only took it once, right?
They only took
dose.
it once, yes. And just kind of looked at that short-term comparison between the two. And this was consistent with other research that they did, such as looking at magic mushrooms as a therapy for people with depressive disorders, and in contrast with people who didn't have any sort of mental disorders with LSD. That was cited in this paper, so do with that as you will. They said that previous research on people with depression did yield stronger results. So we're not too sure didn't mention if these healthy people had any sort of mental illnesses. So I don't know, but this looks like a fun study to be a part of. And apparently it jumped through a lot of different ethics board. They had a whole paragraph about ethics
Can't
in
imagine.
this one. So yeah.
They're like, it's chill, bro. Trust me.
I just love the idea of some PhD student having to purchase the products needed for this study as well.
Surely they'd make it. They'd be able to have something
That's
a
cool.
lab that's isolating it themselves, because you would not ever purchase something off the street and then give it to someone and then test. There's no way.
No.
That's true.
Well, if this sounds familiar as well.
Are you a reputable dealer?
It's in
Please,
their,
show me
it's
your
in their
background.
supplementary information, what streets they walk down.
Yes. Oh my god. If this type of story sounds familiar, it's because I touched on a story from Johns Hopkins University, which has a QS ranking of 24, looking at how magic mushrooms can be used to quit smoking as well. I don't know whether this is a recent obsession with low QS ranking universities on magic mushrooms, but I'm not exactly hating on it.
Am I correct in that this is the substance that they were looking into for PTSD?
Yes.
Because I've heard a lot of research into magic mushrooms and PTSD, and that some participants mentioned that it gave them anecdotally an ability to step away from the trauma in their head. That was how it was phrased in the thing. So I wonder, the idea that they said, I think in this paper you mentioned they said that they had greater psychological insight was the word.
Yes.
Yeah. So being able to know your own mind is a very it's a skill that you have to
Brain
learn.
entropy was observed, which predicted kind of psychological outcomes like your insight and improved well-being. So getting a better understanding of what your brain, what's going on in your brain as well, and then that can kind
knowing
of
how you're
correspond.
feeling is actually not something that everyone can do.
Yeah.
So it is interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
No idea. Space news. So as
you know how we're talking about washing your brain out?
Yeah.
That intro always makes me feel like something's just like rinsing my brain out. I don't know what it is. The sound.
That was there was like a common TikTok comment that was like, this feels like Sprite in my brain.
Yeah.
So I
yes,
feel like
that's what that sound
accurate.
feels like to me.
Well, as we know, Monday was the 4th of May.
Oh, nice.
Or said another way, May the 4th.
Yeah. I love the delay there.
Yeah.
And of course, it was Star Wars Day. And to
Cut before the mouse gets us.
Yeah, the mouse is rapidly approaching.
And to celebrate, may I please suggest you watch YouTuber Zach King and his friends, who have paid homage to the OG 1977 Star Wars film, also known as A New Hope, by creating their own 54-minute version. And what sets their version apart...
Sorry, Space News.
No, this is YouTube recommendation time with Max now.
Max's YouTube history.
All the props were entirely made out of cardboard.
Love.
King explains Star Wars has truly inspired so many filmmakers and reshaped how movies are made. As a nod to how groundbreaking those films were, we asked ourselves, what if we made a version out of cardboard and shot it in just 5 days? And that's exactly what ended up doing. He continues, one of the funnier challenges was our cardboard stormtrooper costumes. They were super stiff and hard to see out of, just like the original ones. That made moving around in tight shooting spaces pretty difficult. Also, shooting an entire movie in 5 days was a huge challenge. We made it work by filming primarily in one warehouse, aside from some desert scenes, and running multiple cameras and scenes at the same time. What?
Aside from the desert we went to, it was all like really low key.
So I got 3 fun facts about the franchise. In the very first draft of The Empire Strikes Back, Yoda was named Buffy.
Oh.
Hey?
That doesn't have this...
Because of his physique?
Buffy.
Yeah. The name R2-D2 stands for Real 2, Dialogue 2, a term used in film editing.
Cute.
And early drafts of Star Wars imagined Han Solo as a green-skinned alien with gills.
Oh.
So there you go.
And when Aragorn kicked the helmet, he broke his toe in real life. Did you know that as well?
Good. So if you want to check,
just throwing out facts.
If you want to check out, the YouTube video, just search on Star Wars out of cardboard. Job done.
Oh yeah. And there were 12,000 Artemis 2 images released by NASA.
But that's not relevant to the space news.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Max. I forgot we'd gone into the YouTube recommendations. But that is all we have time for, though. This show is brought to you thanks to all of the subscribers to 4ZZZ. Thank you to everyone who subscribed during April Atonement last month. 4ZZZ. I think we were one short of the stretch goal we had. One subscriber short.
Yeah.
Which we got in the carcinization.
Which we got during the crab story earlier on. But
people love crabs.
If you were meaning to subscribe during April Atonement, the subscription door is always open, and there is always a monthly sub prize as well that you can go into the running to win. So please do check it out at 4ZZZ.org.au to help keep 4ZZZ running. On that website is also where you can listen back to the full recording of this show with all of the music as well as a bunch of our previous shows. The condensed version is available on your podcasting platform of choice. Just search up No Idea 4ZZZ. That's No with a K. No Idea 4ZZZ. Thanks to Toby for editing up that pod. Thanks to you, Max, Issy, and Peter for your stories this week. We'll be back in your ears next week. Between now and then, try walking sideways to see if you might be carcinizationing. Check out the psych test openings at low QS ranking unis and try an ab yawn workout to keep your brain healthy.
And we'll speak to you next week.
See ya.
See ya.
Bye.
I'm a goddamn marvel of modern science.